In 2026, India is home to the largest youth population on the planet. Yet millions of these young adults are waking up to an economy where holding a degree practically guarantees systemic unemployment. This visualization maps the crisis: millions of highly educated applicants chasing a shrinking fraction of public sector jobs. The pressure cracked openly in May 2026 when a leaked NEET exam paper abruptly derailed the futures of 2.3 million students. With formal institutions failing and the job market paralyzed, anger spilled into the streets. Young people realized that standard political avenues offered them absolutely no solutions to their material conditions. A demographic this large, crushed by economic stagnation, eventually has to vent. They formed a massive, highly connected political vacuum, completely devoid of traditional leadership and waiting for a spark. During a May 2026 Supreme Court hearing, Chief Justice Suryakant provided that exact spark. Discussing unemployed youths who turned to activism or journalism, he explicitly referred to them from the bench as parasites and cockroaches. Labeling an entire demographic as insects is an established, deliberate tool of state control. It strips a population of its humanity, converting citizens with legitimate grievances into pests. During the 1994 Rwandan genocide, state-aligned radio broadcasts relentlessly referred to the Tutsi minority as inyenzi, translating to cockroaches. A few decades earlier, Nazi Germany heavily relied on biological rhetoric, equating marginalized groups to rats and vermin to justify mass violence. Faced with a label carrying that kind of historical gravity, India's Gen Z did not issue a formal press release or organize a standard protest. They absorbed the insult. By willingly adopting the term, they executed a textbook tactic of satirical reclaiming. Taking ownership of a dehumanizing slur flips the power dynamic. The state loses its linguistic weapon, and the targeted group gains a highly visible, unifying badge of honor. Within 24 hours of the Chief Justice's remarks, a 30-year-old political strategist named Abhijit Dipke utilized generative AI tools to rapidly build a brand, a manifesto, and an entire digital infrastructure. He called it the Cockroach Janta Party. To join, members had to meet strict criteria. They needed to be physically lazy, chronically online for at least 11 hours a day, and completely unemployed. Behind the absurdist joke, the CJP hid severe demands. They demanded strict right-to-information transparency for their party. They called for a ban on retired judges accepting government posts, and pushed to reserve 50% of parliamentary seats for women. But absurdity is a powerful tool to cut through political apathy. By lowering the barrier to entry with self-deprecating humor, the movement engaged millions of young voters who had tuned out mainstream politicians. Relying on viral sharing, the CJP accumulated 1 million registered members in days. Their total social reach was even starker. The CJP's Instagram skyrocketed to 22.5 million followers, completely dwarfing the 8.8 million followers of the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. A parody account run by internet volunteers was now dominating the digital metrics of the world's most heavily funded political organization. Recognizing the sheer density of this voting bloc, veteran politicians like Shashi Tharoor began publicly engaging with the movement to court their support. The energy breached containment. Volunteers organized offline, protesting municipal filth and leading environmental cleanup drives along the heavily polluted Yamuna River. Online satire had successfully manufactured real-world political capital, proving that a digital-first campaign could directly disrupt physical public spaces. The state reaction was swift. Hackers targeted Dipke's personal social media accounts, and the official Cockroach Janta Party website was abruptly pulled offline. Rather than engaging with the party's job market demands, government officials executed a calculated narrative pivot, shifting focus far away from youth unemployment. Union ministers called press conferences to announce that 49% of the CJP's online followers actually originated from neighboring Pakistan. This flowchart visualizes the exact state strategy, known as securitization. By relabeling domestic dissent as a foreign cybersecurity threat, authorities manufacture the legal and public justification required to deploy emergency censorship. The government never had to debate the merits of the CJP's policies or answer for the millions of jobless graduates. By simply deleting the platform, they neutralized the threat, simultaneously exposing the fatal fragility of relying entirely on digital networks. Despite its brief lifespan, the Cockroach Janta Party successfully demonstrated how a marginalized group can weaponize state rhetoric against itself to mobilize millions of disaffected voters. Yet it also mapped the precise limits of internet-based resistance. Viral momentum exists entirely at the mercy of the state's technical infrastructure and its willingness to press delete. Digital satire can easily ignite a generation and expose the cracks in a rigid political system. But for that energy to survive a state crackdown, those online networks have to establish undeletable physical roots in the real world.